So basically, let's talk about what's the big topic now. This whole
jobs.
Jobs, yes. Well, let's first.
It should be.
We'll talk about the jobs in a second, but let's rehash the whole voter situation here. Obviously, news media reports have had 182,000 potential non-citizen voters. That there's over 53,000 dead people that are still on these voter rolls. Have any of these dead people been removed? And any of those 182,000 potential non-voters. How many have been identified, and have any of them been removed from the rolls?
First off, here's the way I think about it. Think about how many people have died defending our right to vote. How many countries that are in civil war at times because people don't have the right to vote. And when you meet a naturalized citizen, how excited they are. The first thing they want to do is go out and register to vote. So we're sitting here having a debate about whether non-citizens have a right to vote in our country. They don't. It's against the law. It's a crime. And so we've been asking Homeland Security for their database, which is the best database to do a review of non-citizens. And for whatever reason, for months, for 9+ months, they've said no. So we took a small sample, and just with that small sample, we know that there's 100 that non-citizens that are on our voter rolls, and we know over 50 have voted. So that dilutes an individual's right, the U.S. citizen's right to vote. So that's wrong. It's a crime. It's illegal. So we Department of Justice and Homeland Security just put us in a position we have to sue them to get a database that we're entitled to that says it can be used for voter registration. So I don't understand why we're having this conversation. If people have passed away, they don't have a right to vote. People that are never U.S. citizens, they don't have a right to vote. So we need to make sure our voter rules are proper. So when you go vote, your vote's not voted.
Now, interesting enough, I went to the Broward Supervisor of Election yesterday, and I asked them how, vaguely asked them how this was the whole purge was going on, and they joked around, they laughed that, hey, we're not going to adhere to what the governor says. We took our directive from the supervisor of department up in Tallahassee. We're not going to do it. And again, they laughed at it. They scoffed at it, that it was just a joke, that it's not going to happen during this election cycle. Thoughts?
Well, look, if you're elected as a supervisor of election, your job is to uphold the law. The law in Florida is only U.S. citizens, living U.S. citizens, as a matter of fact, only U.S. citizens have a right to vote. So I believe the supervisor elections will do the right thing. The process that's been set up, that's been approved by the Department of Justice in the past, is that if there's evidence that somebody is a non-citizen, you send them a certified letter. They have 30 days to respond. If they don't, then you do a public notice. If they don't, you take them off the rolls. And then if they show up to vote, they vote provisionally. It happened to me with regard, I went to vote one time and they said I passed away. So I said, not really, I'm here. And so I voted provisionally, and I'm sure my vote counted.
Well, that's wishful thinking for many of your detractors.
There's detractors?
Well,
one maybe, one or two.
Now, again, DOJ, Attorney General Eric Holder oversees the DOJ. Do you think he has any leg to stand on, considering his botched Fast and Furious plan and the fact that he's not cooperating with members of Congress? What do you make of that? I mean, do you think he has a leg to stand on?
Here's my hope. My hope is that they'll give us the database. They'll work with us to make sure that our voter rolls are fair, honest. They only include living Floridians that are U.S. citizens. They don't include non-citizens. So I'm hopeful. As you know, we worked with the Department of Justice, EPA, Interior, and Corps of Engineers on this Everglades restoration project. So I'm hopeful that we can work with them to make sure this happens.